Raphinha versus Vinicius Jr., the two most important Brazilian players of the last few years. And yes, the debate sounds obvious, until you actually break it down. Because Raphinha is the kind of player who can leave Manuel Neuer on the floor, make Bayern defenders look like slow tractors, and even teach Mbappe how to score a cheeky chip. He scores headers, thunderbolts, volleys, there is literally no finish he doesn't have in his locker. But what truly separates Raphinha isn't the technique, it's the mentality. After two turbulent seasons at Barcelona, where his combined numbers were 20 goals and 23 assists, many felt that wasn't enough for a player who cost £55 million. That perception turned into doubt from Xavi, from part of the fan base, and even from the sporting director. But Raphinha didn't break. The moment he received trust, he exploded into full Ballon d'Or mode. 60 goal contributions last season, 34 goals and 26 assists. A campaign that shocked world football not just because of the numbers, but because of when he delivered. He scored or assisted in every Clásico. Against elite opponents, Raphinha always stood up for Barcelona. And the scariest part? He's maintaining that same level and attitude this season. Even Diego Simeone admitted he doesn't understand how Raphinha didn't win the Ballon d'Or.
Todo. Juega de extremo, carrilero, banda, media punta, hace goles, presiona. Es un jugador del año pasado, no sé cómo no ganó el Balón de Oro. Pero bueno, en fútbol la gente puede elegir al que quiere, yo lo elijo a él, a mí me encanta.
At Barcelona, Raphinha is more than a captain. No one runs like him. When he's fit, no one plays more minutes, 4,661 minutes last season. He attacks like he defends. He never gives up on a ball. He is a pillar for Hansi Flick, so much so that when things go wrong, Raphinha is the one lifting even his own coach. He is a fundamental part of Barcelona's soul, a domestic treble winner, a key reason Barca became the highest scoring team in Europe's top 5 leagues, with 174 goals and a central figure in a historic achievement, winning every Clásico in a single footballing cycle for the first time in Spanish football history. Raphinha is a nightmare for Real Madrid, and especially for their number 7, Vinicius Jr. Because Vinicius is extraordinary, an exquisite footballer. When he drives down the left wing, he is untamable. In 1v1 situations, he is almost impossible to stop. He can even beat the goalkeeper to score. He has destroyed and humiliated Barcelona on multiple occasions. At Real Madrid, Vinicius has won everything. 3 La Ligas, 2 Champions Leagues, 3 Spanish Super Cups, 2 European Super Cups, 3 Club World Cups, and 1 Copa del Rey, plus individual awards like the Best and the Club World Cup Ballon d'Or. He has defined magical nights his goal in the 2022 Champions League final, the 2024 Super Cup final hat-trick against Barcelona, and a flawless performance that silenced the Allianz Arena. On paper, both Brazilians are elite. Their quality is undeniable. Their trophies are undeniable. But there are 2 brutal differences, so clear that one stands far above the other. And that's exactly what we're about to show you. The tactical and personal parallels between Raphinha and Vinicius Jr. are impossible to ignore. Both are Brazilian sensations who rose rapidly through football to become elite talents. And both come from humble beginnings that shape not just their game, but their mentality. Raphinha, born Rafael Dias Beloli on the 14th of December 1996, grew up in Restinga, a tough neighbourhood in Porto Alegre. Like many Brazilian players, he lived in an area where drugs and crime were common escape routes for young kids. But Raphinha never drifted. His family's education kept him grounded, even as many childhood friends chose quicker, darker paths to make money. He has said that food was never missing at home thanks to his parents' sacrifices. Yet after training, hunger was real. He would stand in the street asking strangers to buy him something to eat just to get through the day. Those experiences forged him. Combined with effort and attitude, they carried him all the way to what he himself calls the biggest club in the world. But the road was brutal. Enrolled young at Grêmio, Raphinha suffered a deep emotional blow at just 9 years old when he was released for being too physically weak, miradinho, as they say in Brazil, a label that followed him for years. Even today, at 26, his frame remains extremely slim. He cried, he was devastated. After bouncing between small football and futsal clubs in Porto Alegre, Raphinha was forced to leave home, moving 330 kilometers away to Santa Catarina to chase his dream. He had a brief stop in Sao Paulo with Audax, before finally breaking through in youth football at Avaí. That's when Deco, recently retired and now an agent, appeared as a guiding light. Europe was calling, and Raphinha hadn't even made his professional debut in Brazil. Portugal was the first step. At Vitória Guimarães, he helped the club earn promotion with 9 goals and 8 assists, then shone in the top division with 7 goals and 5 assists. That earned him a move to Stade Rennais in League One, where he added 9 goals and 1 assist, enough to open the door to the Premier League. At Leeds United, under Marcelo Bielsa, Raphinha exploded. He became the focal point of the attack, guiding the club to Premier League survival in his final season. He contributed 19 goals and 14 assists, often carrying a team whose overall quality gap forced Bielsa to give him huge attacking responsibility. Despite experiments with multifunctional wingers, Raphinha played mainly on the right wing, hugging the touchline and acting as the engine through which most of Leeds' attacking sequences flowed. His performance dazzled the world and opened the doors of FC Barcelona for him in the summer of 2022. Vinicius Jr.'s journey to the Spanish giant, however, was far more direct. He started playing football at just 4 years old, already standing out for his pace, dribbling and natural ability on the ball. At 10, his parents made a life-changing decision. His mother, Tatiana Vinicius, of Congolese descent, and his father, José Paixão de Oliveira, moved the family to Sao Paulo so Vinicius could have better football opportunities. The sacrifice was enormous. Money was scarce. Sometimes they couldn't afford school. Sometimes they couldn't even afford food. The biggest lesson Vinicius received from his father was simple but powerful. Always play with joy and never let problems outside football affect you. That mentality took him to Flamengo's academy, one of the most prestigious in Brazil, where he quickly caught the eye of Real Madrid scouts. In 2018, Madrid made their move. After Vinicius recorded 14 goals and 5 assists across 2 seasons, Florentino Perez paid €45 million, making him the second most expensive Brazilian player in history at the time. Vinicius arrived in Madrid on the 14th of July 2018, welcomed by fans from Flamengo and Real Madrid alike. The hype was real. An 18-year-old signed for roughly $45 million. Expectations were enormous. But reality hit fast. After pre-season, he spent most of his early months playing for Castilla under Julen Lopetegui, featuring for just 2 minutes early in the season against Atletico Madrid. Everything changed when Lopetegui was dismissed. Santiago Solari, his former Castilla coach, took over and trusted Vinicius with more minutes. Still raw, still maturing, Vinicius began to show flashes of brilliance and earned praise as he forced his way into the first team. But just as momentum was building, disaster struck. He was injured in the decisive Champions League tie against Ajax in the 2018-2019 season and missed 2 months.
Vinicius Júnior fora de campo. Mas ele errou. Não vai. That
campaign ended with 8 goals and 1 assist, promising but incomplete. Solari didn't last either. Florentino Perez brought back Zinedine Zidane, the 3-time Champions League winner, to rebuild the club. The 2019-2020 season marked a new reset, with the arrivals of Eden Hazard and another Brazilian gem, Rodrigo. Zidane viewed Vinicius as talented but immature. By November 2019, rumours of a loan intensified. Vinicius was left out of squads, while Rodrigo began to shine, increasing the pressure. Then came the statement that changed everything. Florentino Perez stepped in and made it clear. Vinicius Jr. is not for sale. Vinicius stayed. He won his first La Liga title that season. The numbers were still modest, 5 goals and 3 assists, but something else started to happen. He began to appear in big moments. An assist against Manchester City.
Oh, he's lost it though to Vinicius Jr. and here's his goal!
A goal against Barcelona. And this is where Vinicius Jr.'s story truly became difficult. But it's also where the Brazilian star finally showed his true character. In his third season, Vinicius went back to wearing the number 20 shirt, the same number that had made him stand out at Flamengo. But instead of trust, doubt grew even louder. Criticism around his football intensified, and this time, it wasn't just coming from the outside, it was coming from inside the dressing room. In October 2020, reports emerged that Karim Benzema had been seen speaking to teammates in the tunnel, allegedly telling them not to pass the ball to Vinicius during Madrid's draw against Borussia Mönchengladbach. He does whatever he wants. Don't play with him. He's playing against us, Benzema was said to have claimed, although the French striker later denied it. The message, real or not, captured the atmosphere surrounding Vinicius at the time. By the final stretch of the 2020-2021 season, the number 20 began to show clear improvement. He played a decisive role in Real Madrid's qualification for the Champions League semi-finals against Liverpool. Signs of growth were evident, but one criticism refused to disappear: his finishing. Everything changed in 2021-2022 with the arrival of Carlo Ancelotti. The 15 goals Vinicius had scored across his first 3 seasons suddenly turned into 22 goals in a single campaign. The promise became reality. Vinicius stopped being a project and became a pillar. While Benzema enjoyed the best season of his career, one that ended with a Ballon d'Or, Vinicius was the perfect counterpart. He became the main escape valve of a team that conquered La Liga and lifted its 14th Champions League. His wide movements caused chaos, especially in the semi-final first leg against Manchester City.
He's in here for Real Madrid.
But the defining moment came in Paris, 28th May, minute 58. Valverde crossed the ball and Vinicius appeared behind Trent Alexander-Arnold to score the goal that won Real Madrid the Champions League final against Liverpool, the crowning of a new star, and then came the 2022-2023 season. Both Brazilians finally shared La Liga. Raphinha arrived at Barcelona as one of the Premier League's biggest figures. Vinicius was now a Champions League hero. From that moment on, the futures of both players and of Real Madrid and Barcelona were destined to collide, twist, and redefine this rivalry. The 2022-2023 season was a season of contradictions for Barcelona, for Real Madrid, and for both Brazilian stars. On paper, the numbers looked strong. Raphinha finished with 10 goals and 12 assists, while Vinicius Jr. delivered 23 goals and 19 assists. But context matters. La Liga went to Barcelona, their 9th league title in the last 15 years, ending a 4-year trophy drought following Messi's departure. In the direct league clashes, honours were split. At the Bernabeu, Vinicius and Madrid won 3-1. At the Camp Nou, Barcelona responded with a 2-1 victory, where Vinicius still contributed with an assist. For Raphinha, the first La Liga season was turbulent. His performances were inconsistent, and criticism arrived quickly. Barcelona's European collapse only intensified the pressure. In the Champions League, Barca were eliminated in the group stage. Across 6 matches, Raphinha registered just 2 assists, both in the 4-2 win over Victoria Plzen. The margin for error at a club like Barcelona became painfully clear. In the Europa League, Raphinha made an impact with a goal and an assist against Manchester United, but it wasn't enough. Barcelona were eliminated. Meanwhile, Vinicius Jr. was doing the opposite in Europe. He practically carried Real Madrid to the Champions League semi-finals, registering goal contributions in 11 of 13 matches. His standout moments were decisive: 2 goals and an assist against Liverpool in the round of 16. 2 assists versus Chelsea in the quarter-finals, and a goal against Manchester City in the semi-finals.
Vinicius Jr.
Madrid were eventually stopped by Guardiola's side, but Vinicius finished the campaign with a Champions League tally of 7 goals and 5 assists, a truly elite run. The 2 Brazilians faced each other twice more that season. In the Copa del Rey semi-final, Vinicius overwhelmed Barcelona, delivering 2 assists and 1 goal, helping Madrid lift the trophy. In contrast, the Spanish Super Cup final went Barcelona's way with a commanding 3-1 victory, although Raphinha's performance was relatively discreet. That season sent a very clear message: Spain still belonged to Vinicius, and Raphinha was only just beginning to feel what it truly means to wear the shirt of a giant like Barcelona The 2023-24 season revealed something deeper than numbers. It exposed what was going on inside the head of each player. For Vinicius Jr., it was a dream campaign, so big in fact, that he was considered a Ballon d'Or contender. He finished the season with 24 goals and 11 assists, and once again became decisive in Real Madrid's Champions League triumph. He delivered 2 assists against Manchester City in the quarter-finals, produced a huge performance with a brace against Bayern in the semi-finals, and then scored in the final against Dortmund as Madrid lifted their 15th Champions League. Against Barcelona and Raphinha, Vinicius was ruthless, a hat-trick in the Spanish Super Cup final. Dominance in the league and 2 Clásico wins in La Liga. In the 3-2 victory at the Bernabeu, Vinicius added a goal and an assist. La Liga went to Real Madrid. On the pitch, Spain belonged to Vinicius, but the season didn't end in harmony. On 21st May 2023, Vinicius suffered racist abuse from fans at the Mestalla in Valencia. His reaction confronting those responsible and publicly stating that racism is normal in La Liga triggered worldwide support and positioned him as a leading voice in the fight against racism. In Brazil, the Vinicius Jr. law was passed in 2023 to combat racism at sporting events. From that moment on, hostile environments followed him everywhere. At least 16 major racist incidents occurred in Spain alone. Vinicius didn't stay silent. Sometimes he fought back, sometimes he broke down, sometimes he cried.
Eu tenho que me concentrar muito. Todos os dias.
And although those situations seemed to fuel him competitively, mentally they left scars. After 2 elite seasons, the expectation was clear. He would win the Ballon d'Or. That didn't happen. Rodri won it instead. Real Madrid stopped attending the gala, and from that moment something appeared to crack inside Vinicius. Meanwhile, Raphinha hit rock bottom. His numbers 10 goals and 13 assists only told part of the story. He had flashes of brilliance, an assist against Napoli in the Champions League round of 16, and then a turning point against PSG in the quarter-finals. Xavi used him as an interior midfielder in that tie, and Raphinha responded with 3 goals in the series. In La Liga, injuries and fluctuating trust from Xavi caused inconsistency. At his peak, he produced goal contributions in 4 consecutive matches and finished the season with 7 contributions in the final 13 games. But the images were louder than the stats. Raphinha arguing with Xavi as he was substituted, punching the bench, kicking it, living every second as a culé in pain. Inside Barcelona, his exit was heavily discussed. A coaching change was coming, and there was genuine interest in Nico Williams, fresh from forming a deadly partnership with Lamine Yamal during Spain's Euro 2024 triumph. And here is where their paths split completely. Vinicius couldn't tolerate the racism in the stands, nor the Ballon d'Or blow. Raphinha, at the darkest moment of his career, received trust from Hansi Flick. That trust transformed him into the undisputed leader of a Barcelona side that would go on to make history in the 2024-25 season. The 2024-25 season flipped the script completely. Raphinha and Vinicius Jr. transformed in opposite directions. Raphinha didn't just outperform Vinicius, he obliterated what was supposed to be Vinicius's Ballon d'Or level. 34 goals and 26 assists. Numbers that speak for themselves. With him leading the charge, Barcelona finally exorcised all their Champions League ghosts. His hat-trick destroyed Bayern Munich. His goal knocked out Dortmund. He became the hero of an iconic comeback against Benfica with a brace, then followed it with 4 goal contributions in the round of 16. Three more in the quarter-finals against Dortmund, and even in Barcelona's semi-final elimination, he still delivered 3 goal contributions. Raphinha finished as Champions League top scorer with 13 goals and 9 assists. And when it mattered most, El Clásico, the gap became brutal. At the Bernabeu, he scored 1 goal and 1 assist in the 4-0 humiliation. At Montjuic, he scored 2 goals in another 4-3 statement win. In the Spanish Super Cup final, he delivered 2 goals and 1 assist in a 5-2 demolition. In the Copa del Rey final, he was decisive again as Barca won 3-2. He finished as the second highest goal contributor in Europe's top 5 leagues, became the most important player at Barcelona, and earned the captain's armband. This wasn't just form, this was leadership. Meanwhile, Vinicius Jr. fell sharply, 22 goals and 19 assists. Yes, but a season defined by nothing won, a nadaplete. What people remember most isn't his football, but the constant confrontations. Mallorca, the Metropolitano, mocking rivals instead of deciding matches. Even Jude Bellingham's visible frustration said everything. Vinicius wasn't decisive in the Champions League, not in La Liga, not in the Cups, not in the Club World Cup, and the arrival of Kylian Mbappé didn't elevate him, it eclipsed him. Add the Ballon d'Or disappointment, and Vinicius became more temperamental, more erratic, and visibly lost his way. Vinicius Jr. is now far from his best. 12 matches without scoring, 924 minutes since his brace against Villarreal on the 4th of October. He still sits as Madrid's second top scorer with 5 goals 20 behind an unstoppable Mbappé. But the real concern isn't the numbers. The situation is deeper. Since the Clásico, Vinicius has openly clashed with Xabi Alonso, showing a lack of respect towards his coach and emerging as one of the figures dividing the dressing room. Madrid have won just 3 of their last 9 matches, losing to Liverpool, Manchester City, and even Celta Vigo at the Bernabeu, handing the league lead straight to Barcelona. This season, Vinicius has made more headlines for his conflict with Xabi than for his football. He's reportedly refusing to renew his contract until his coach treats him better. Raphinha lives in a different universe. Since returning from his thigh injury, Barcelona have won 5 out of 5 La Liga matches, regained the top spot, and rediscovered their scoring machine. 15 goals in 5 games. And unlike Vinicius, when Barcelona were in crisis, Raphinha didn't sulk. He hugged Hansi Flick, lifted his teammates, and led from the front. That's what makes him far more valuable. In 12 matches, he already has 8 goal contributions, the latest being a brace against Osasuna that pushed Barcelona further away from Real Madrid. Both players are spectacular. Both can do almost everything with the ball, but the difference is brutal. Raphinha carries his team and transforms it for the better. Vinicius drags his team into chaos. There is no debate Raphinha is the best Brazilian in Europe.